I always thought having a third kid would be the moment everything clicked into place. Sure, life was messy. Juggling work, bills, school pickups, but I imagined this news would tie it all together. A fresh start. A reminder of what Lisa and I were building. So when she told me she was pregnant again, I felt this weird mix of shock and excitement. I just stared at the test in her hand, trying to process it. We weren't exactly trying, but we weren't not trying either. And for a moment, I actually smiled. I pictured Mason and Tyler with a little brother. 3 wild boys running around the house, wrestling on the couch, fighting over cereal boxes. I hugged her, kissed her on the forehead, told her we'd be okay, that I was happy. She said, "Yeah, me too." But something about her voice didn't match her words. At first, I told myself it was just hormones. Stress. Lisa had a lot on her plate. Corporate law is no joke. She worked long hours, managed difficult clients, dealt with constant pressure. I figured maybe she was just tired, maybe overwhelmed, but it didn't go away. The coldness, the distance. Usually when we were expecting, with both Mason and Tyler, she'd be glowing, full of energy, wanting to talk baby names, colors, whether we needed a bigger car. This time, nothing. She didn't bring it up unless I did. And even then, it was always a quick, "Let's wait till the first trimester's over," or "Don't get ahead of yourself." Okay, maybe she was being cautious. But then I started noticing other things. Little things that didn't sit right. She kept going to bed earlier, but always after me. I'd hear her quietly come into the bedroom and slide under the covers like she didn't want me to notice. And when I reached for her in the morning, she'd turn the other way, pretending to still be asleep. Her phone was never left out anymore. Always in her hand or face down. When it buzzed, she'd glance at it and swipe it away without saying a word. It used to be nothing for her to ask me to read her texts or answer a call while her hands were full. Not anymore. I offered to go with her to the first ultrasound. Took the morning off work, cleared my calendar. Thought it'd be a bonding moment like it was before. She said she'd confirm the time and let me know. The morning came, no text, no call. I finally messaged her. She replied, "Clinic had to reschedule. Emergency with another patient. Going next week instead." No apology. No new date. I asked if she wanted me to come to the rescheduled one, and she left me on read for 3 hours. When she finally wrote back, it was just, "Don't worry about it. I'll be in and out." That stung more than I expected. That night at dinner, Mason was telling some wild story from school, waving his fork around like a sword. Tyler was giggling nonstop. I looked across the table at Lisa, and she was just somewhere else. Not annoyed, not tired, just gone. Eyes blank, half a smile on her lips, chewing without tasting. When the boys went upstairs to brush their teeth, I asked, "You okay?" She blinked. "Yeah, fine. Just work." She didn't ask about my day. Didn't mention the baby. Just stood up, took her plate to the sink, and started scrolling on her phone like I wasn't even there. That night, I lay awake listening to her soft breathing and wondered if I was imagining it all. Maybe I was being overly sensitive. Maybe I was scared of screwing up fatherhood a third time. Maybe this was just how some pregnancies were. But the feeling in my gut wasn't going away. And it wasn't just about the baby. It was about her. I didn't want to admit it, even to myself, but I didn't feel like her husband anymore. I felt like a roommate she barely tolerated. And that terrified me. The next Tuesday, she said she had drinks with the girls from work. A regular thing. She wore makeup I hadn't seen in months. A dress I didn't even recognize. Said she'd be home late, and kissed me on the cheek before walking out the door. No hug. No, "I love you." Just a casual "see ya." That night I stayed up. Not on purpose, just couldn't sleep. I kept staring at the clock, checking my phone, wondering if something had happened. Wondering if she was safe. Wondering if I was just being paranoid. She came home at 12:14 a.m. quietly. Didn't think I was awake. I heard her humming as she kicked off her shoes and went straight to the bathroom. A soft giggle escaped her lips, like she just heard a private joke. She didn't say a word to me before climbing into bed. And I didn't ask. I just laid there, pretending to sleep, with my heart pounding in my chest like a war drum. Something was wrong, really wrong, and whether I liked it or not, I needed to start paying attention. A few years ago, Lisa couldn't go 2 hours without checking in on the boys. She'd text me in the middle of meetings asking what Mason had for lunch or whether Tyler remembered to bring his reading folder. That version of her? Long gone. These days, Lisa was always too busy. Too busy to help with homework. Too busy to sit through dinner without scrolling. Too busy to tuck in our sons at night. I stopped asking her to join us for school plays, parent-teacher conferences, even soccer games. Because I already knew the answer. I have to work. And hey, I respected her job. Being a lawyer at Whitestone Legal wasn't easy. I got that. But the job didn't make her forgetful. Didn't make her cold. One night, Tyler came into our bedroom holding a drawing he'd made. Something with stick figures and a rocket ship. His face lit up. I made it for Mom. She was lying in bed with her laptop, tapping away at something. When Tyler held out the paper, she gave it a 2-second glance, forced a smile and said, "Oh wow, that's nice, sweetie. Can you go put it on the fridge?" No hug, no real acknowledgement, just back to typing like nothing happened. I watched the light leave his eyes. That same week, I started noticing patterns. Tuesdays were her girls' night, and she never missed it, never canceled, never came home before midnight. She claimed it was just her and the girls blowing off steam. Wine and venting, she called it, except her stories never added up. One Tuesday, she said they went to a wine bar on 4th. Cool. But when I asked what she had, I don't know, to sound interested, she blinked like she couldn't remember. Red, she said. I think it was a cab? Lisa always knew what she drank. She was the kind of person who'd send back wine if it wasn't the exact vintage listed on the menu. Now she was suddenly vague. Another night, she came home with a perfume I didn't recognize. And not just a whiff. She was soaked in it. I asked about it and she said, "One of the girls let me try hers," then went straight to the shower. The next morning, Mason asked why Mom didn't say goodnight last night. I just said she got home late. He didn't say anything, but he frowned and went back to pouring his cereal. I could feel it happening. The gap, the slow drift between her and all of us. And no matter how hard I tried to pull her back in, she kept moving further out. One Thursday night, we had dinner, just me and the boys. I made their favorite mac and cheese with hot dogs cut like octopus legs. They thought it was hilarious. I glanced at the clock. Lisa was usually home by 7:30 on Thursdays. It was past 9. I texted her, "You good?" No reply. She walked through the door at 10:10 p.m., hair perfect. Makeup still fresh. Not a hint of stress on her face. "Sorry," she said, setting her purse on the counter. Client dinner ran long. Then she looked at the empty table. "Did you guys eat already?" I nodded. 3 hours ago. "Oh, well, I'm not that hungry anyway." And just like that, she vanished upstairs. The next day, I picked up her dry cleaning on the way back from a client site. She'd forgotten it, and I was trying to do something nice. Just being a good husband. Inside one of the bags was a dress I'd never seen before. Black, tight, low-cut. Something Lisa would have worn before we had kids, but definitely not to any work function. I asked her about it later. "Oh, that? Just something I grabbed on sale," she said. "Haven't even worn it. Thing is, it smelled like perfume. The same one from Tuesday night." At this point, I wasn't even mad. I was studying her. Like when you can feel a storm building in the distance and you're just trying to guess when the lightning will hit. It was the next Tuesday that really pushed me over the edge. She was getting ready for another girls' night, the 3rd one that month. She walked out of the bathroom wearing a short red dress and heels. I couldn't remember the last time she dressed like that for me. She caught me staring. "What?" she asked. "You look good," I said honestly. She didn't even say thanks. Just checked her lipstick in the mirror and walked out the door with a flat, "Don't wait up." That was the night I sat down in the living room, opened my laptop, and typed 3 words into Google. How to track iPhone. It didn't take long to figure out how to track her phone. I wasn't trying to be some secret agent. I was just desperate. Something in me needed proof, real proof, that I wasn't losing my mind. Lisa had shared her location with me years ago. We used to use it for simple stuff, picking each other up, checking traffic. I never turned it off. And apparently neither did she. That night, while she was supposedly out with the girls, I sat in the living room watching her dot move on the map. She wasn't anywhere near the bar she mentioned earlier. Instead, she was parked across town, near a hotel. At first I thought maybe she's picking someone up. Maybe she's meeting a friend who's staying there. But she didn't leave for 2 hours. She didn't answer my texts either. When she came home, her hair was different. Her makeup looked fresh again, like it had been redone. She came in quietly, tossed her heels by the door, and went straight to the bathroom. I didn't say anything, just laid on the couch with the TV on mute and pretended to sleep. She was humming. The next morning, while she showered, I checked the clothes she wore the night before. I know how that sounds, paranoid, maybe pathetic, but I didn't care anymore. I needed to see something, even if it hurt. I found what I was looking for in the hamper. Her underwear was buried deep in the laundry basket, wrapped inside a towel, like she didn't want it to be found. I carefully pulled it out and sealed it in a plastic bag, just in case. I'd heard of DNA testing. I didn't even know where to send it, but I figured I'd find out. What hit me harder than anything, though, was the smell. That perfume again. Not hers. Someone else's. Later that day, I went to the garage and dug through my old tool chest until I found the small motion-activated cam I used when I was testing home security systems a few years back. I dusted it off, charged it, and placed it in the upper corner of our bedroom closet, hidden behind a few jackets. It wouldn't catch everything, but it would catch enough. Then I set up another one in the living room, facing the front door. I had to know who was coming in when I wasn't around. I needed to stop guessing. The following week, Lisa's Tuesdays kept going like clockwork. Every time, she dressed like she was going to impress someone. Every time, she came home late, smiling softly to herself. Every time, she avoided me for the rest of the night. And every time, her location pinged at the same exact motel near the interstate. I stopped asking questions, stopped pretending I believed her. I focused on the boys, got them to school, made dinner, helped with homework. Lisa was a ghost in our house, floating in and out, saying all the right things, but never actually present. That's when I started finding other things. One night, I was fixing a leaky pipe under the sink in our bathroom when I had to move a box of her stuff to get better access. It was a plain brown box shoved way in the back. When I opened it, I found something I wasn't expecting. An enema kit. I froze. Lisa had always complained about stomach issues. I'd heard the phrase, IBS, come out of her mouth more times than I could count. But this wasn't routine. The tip was wet, recently used. It was sitting right next to a Ziploc bag with a tiny bottle of some sort of scented lubricant. My stomach twisted. I wasn't a detective. I was a dad who spent most of his days working out of a converted guest room, fixing Wi-Fi issues for local businesses and building websites for small law firms. But even I knew what this was starting to look like. This wasn't about stomach cramps. I closed the box carefully, put everything back exactly where I found it, and made a small mark with a pencil under where the box had been sitting. I wanted to know if she'd move it. I also took a quick photo of the layout just in case. From that moment on, I knew I was no longer just a husband. I was a man preparing for war, quietly, carefully, because the truth wasn't just leaking into our lives. It was oozing through every crack. Lisa was never the party type. Not when I met her, not even after law school. Her idea of blowing off steam was wine, a bath, and maybe watching some trashy legal drama to mock the courtroom scenes. But now, every Tuesday night, she turned into a different woman. Tight dresses, heels that hadn't seen daylight in years, makeup layered with care, new perfume, and a smile she never showed at home anymore. Just another girl's night, she'd say, like it was routine, like it didn't matter. It mattered. I stopped asking questions. I stopped looking surprised. I didn't even blink when she said she might stay late or sleep over at a friend's place if the wine keeps flowing. She was testing how much she could get away with. and I gave her all the rope she needed. The cameras I'd placed in the living room and closet were already giving me answers. The first week, she came home around midnight, alone. She didn't even glance at the camera tucked behind the books on the shelf. Probably didn't think I was capable of setting something like that up. But the second Tuesday, that was different. She came home later, past 1. She wasn't alone. The camera didn't catch his face. Just a hand, a shoulder, a voice low enough to make me want to punch through the wall. He didn't stay long, 10, maybe 15 minutes. She saw him out, closed the door, and leaned against it with this soft, dreamy smile on her face. The kind she used to give me when we were still real. That was the night everything snapped into place. It wasn't just neglect. It wasn't just emotional distance. It was active betrayal. Sneaking someone into my house. Our house. The house where our sons slept upstairs. I waited a few days before watching the rest of the footage. Part of me didn't want to see more. The other part needed it like oxygen. On Friday, I watched her prepping for his arrival. She went into the bathroom with that brown box again. Spent nearly 20 minutes inside. Showered. Changed into new lingerie I'd never seen before. When she came out, she sprayed the air with a little bottle and smiled at her reflection. She never did that for me. Not anymore. The next morning I played dumb. Made pancakes for the boys. Packed their lunches. Lisa came downstairs wearing workout clothes. Hair up. Like she hadn't just betrayed everything we built. "Morning," she said casually. I smiled back. "Sleep okay?" "Like a rock," she replied. "Did the boys behave last night?" "They always do." She kissed Mason on the forehead, Tyler on the cheek, grabbed her keys and said she had errands to run. I just nodded and waved. But inside I was boiling. That weekend, I checked the mark I'd made under the bathroom box. It had moved. Only an inch. But the position of everything inside had changed. The towel was folded differently. The plastic bag was resealed in a way I hadn't done it. She was still using it. Still cleaning up. Still making herself ready, but not for me. I started noticing how many lies she told in just a day. Tiny ones. Ones that didn't even need to be lies. "I've got a client meeting this afternoon." She was at the mall. "I'm going to bed early. Exhausted." She was texting someone under the covers. "My stomach's acting up again. I'm skipping dinner." She had already eaten. I found the fast food receipt in her purse. It wasn't just about cheating. Lisa had rewritten our whole marriage like it was something to escape. Something to manipulate. But what she didn't know, what she never bothered to consider, was that I wasn't just watching anymore. I was planning. I created a separate folder on my computer, hidden under generic project files. Every photo, every camera timestamp, every screenshot from her location history went into it. I started backing up her voicemails from our shared phone plan. I copied every statement from our joint credit card and highlighted any strange transactions. The trap wasn't set yet, but it was coming. The best part? She thought she was in control. Thought I was too soft, too average, too safe to ever fight back. She had no idea who she was dealing with. When Lisa told me she wouldn't be joining us on the summer trip, I didn't argue. She barely looked up from her laptop when she said it, claiming she needed rest. Said she wanted to stay home, focus on the pregnancy, get her head right. I nodded like I understood. She ended it with a casual, "Go. Have fun with the boys." So I did. I rented a beach house a few hours from home. Nothing fancy, 2 bedrooms, a grill out back, walking distance to the ocean. It was perfect. For me and the boys anyway. Mason and Tyler were stoked. They'd never been to the coast before. I signed them up for a beginner surf camp. Wetsuits, softboards, the whole nine. They were awkward and terrible at first, but by the 3rd day, they were standing up on their own, laughing when they wiped out, racing back into the water every time. I hadn't seen them smile like that in a long time. We spent every day outside, surfing, eating junk food, building terrible sandcastles that collapsed 5 minutes later. At night, we made hot dogs on the grill and watched movies on the pull-out couch with sandy feet and sunburned noses. For the first time in months, I could breathe. Really breathe. Lisa texted the first day, "Let me know you got there." I replied, "We did." That was it. She didn't ask about the boys. Didn't ask for pictures. Didn't check in after that. By day 3, I stopped checking my phone altogether. That's when we met Karen. It was late afternoon. The boys were rinsing off their boards by the outdoor shower near the rental office. I was sitting on a bench half asleep when I heard someone say, "You must be Mason and Tyler's dad." I looked up and saw her. Karen. Casual, natural. A warm smile that didn't feel forced. She had 2 daughters around the same age, Lily and Zoe. Turned out they'd been in the same surf group all week. The girls knew each other already. We talked. It started light vacation small talk, asking where we were from, sharing sunscreen woes. But somehow we ended up sitting on the bench together for nearly an hour, just watching the kids laugh in the sun. She was a widow. Her husband died in a car accident a couple years back. Drunk driver. She said it without drama, just honesty. Like she'd made peace with it or was trying to. I told her Lisa stayed home to rest. Didn't say much more than that. We started bumping into each other every day after that. The kids clicked fast, building sandcastles together, teaming up for paddleball, sharing snacks. Karen and I would sit nearby talking about parenting, work, life. She worked from home too. Medical research for an insurance company. The kind of job that let her be present. She talked about being exhausted sometimes, but also grateful. She said it was hard being the only one her girls relied on, but at least she knew where she stood in their lives. The contrast hit me hard. Karen showed up for her kids. She laughed with them. She hugged them without needing to be reminded. She wasn't perfect. She admitted to losing her patience, crying behind closed doors, even forgetting picture day once. But she was there, fully there. By day 5, we were making plans together, lunches, shared trips to the pier, late-night ice cream runs. On the last night, Karen and I sat on the porch while the kids watched a movie inside. She brought out 2 ciders and said, "I hope this isn't weird." It wasn't. We didn't kiss. We didn't touch. But we didn't need to. That half hour on the porch, talking in the glow of citronella candles and hearing our kids laugh through the screen door. It was the most connected I'd felt to another adult in a long, long time. When we left the next morning, the kids exchanged numbers. Karen and I exchanged looks. Not promises, just possibilities. I loaded the car and headed home. I didn't even want to check the footage, but I knew I had to. We pulled into the driveway late Sunday afternoon. The boys were half asleep in the back seat, sunburnt and sandy, still arguing over who caught the bigger wave. I wasn't thinking about Lisa. Not really. Not directly. But I also wasn't in any rush to see her. The house was dark. Her car was there. The porch light was off. The curtains were drawn. It didn't feel like someone had been relaxing and resting all week. It felt like no one had lived here at all. She didn't come to the door. I brought the bags in, got the boys upstairs, started laundry. I moved around the house like a stranger. She finally appeared in the hallway, looking like hell. Eyes puffy, hair tied back, makeup smeared. "You're home," she said, flat. "Yeah," I replied. "Last night was beautiful." She nodded, didn't say anything else. Didn't ask about the trip, didn't ask about the boys. Just shuffled past me and disappeared into the bedroom. No hug, no fake smile, no effort. I stayed up after everyone went to bed. Made a pot of coffee I didn't need. Then I opened my laptop. I went straight to the saved footage. The cams had done their job. She'd come home alone on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Early, quiet, uneventful. She even watched a movie by herself on Thursday. Almost made me second-guess things. Then I checked Tuesday. That's when my stomach turned. She came in around 6:15 p.m., still dressed for the office, white blouse, black skirt, heels. She showered, used the same kit from the brown box again. I saw the towel laid out, the way she carefully packed it afterward. Then she put on that tight red dress, the one I'd seen her in before her so-called girls' nights. At 8:07 p.m., the door opened again. Brian. I hadn't known his name yet. But I knew it was him the second I saw him lean in and kiss her like they were in a damn romance movie. She giggled. Giggled. I hadn't heard that sound from her in years. They didn't even try to hide it. They made drinks. She turned on music. They slow danced in the living room like they owned the place. Like my boys weren't asleep upstairs. Like our whole life was disposable. He left after an hour, maybe a little more. No rush. No sneaking. She walked him out with that same dreamy look I'd seen before. She lingered at the door, touched her lips, then closed it softly and turned off the lights. I stared at the screen for a long time. Not crying. Not shaking. Just cold. Numb. Like something inside me had flipped a switch and wasn't coming back on. This wasn't about sex. Not anymore. It was about contempt. She wasn't just lying. She was comfortable lying. Confident I'd never figure it out. She'd brought another man into our home and acted like it was hers alone. Not once. Not twice. This was routine. And if I hadn't set up those cameras, she would have kept doing it. Week after week. While pregnant. My stomach dropped. The baby. I didn't say anything out loud, but something in my gut twisted hard. I thought back to the way she flinched when I brought up names. How she kept me out of the ultrasound. How she didn't want me near her. I wasn't ready to say it, not yet. But the idea was there now. What if the baby wasn't mine? I didn't want to believe it, but I didn't trust her to tell the truth anymore. About anything. I closed the laptop and sat there in silence, letting it all settle. This wasn't going to be a screaming match. This wasn't going to be some messy emotional breakdown. I wasn't going to let her drag me into that. She'd made her choices. Now it was my turn. There's a moment when betrayal stops hurting and starts giving you clarity. For me, that was sometime around 2 a.m., sitting in a dark kitchen, watching footage of my wife slow dancing with another man in the home I paid for. In the same room where my sons opened Christmas presents. Where she once told me I was her safe place. And now I was just in the way. That night I didn't yell. Didn't wake her up. Didn't confront her. I just got to work. First, I copied all the footage to an encrypted USB drive. Then I backed it up to cloud storage under a fake work folder. Redundant systems, just like I did with client data. I'd built my consulting business from nothing. Protecting sensitive information was second nature by now. Next step? Make her life feel like it was slipping out of control. Little by little. The alarm clock was first. I turned it off Tuesday night before she had to be at her weekly staff meeting. She overslept, panicked, screamed at me for not waking her. I told her she looked tired, figured she needed it. Then I offered to make her coffee like I was the loving husband she thought I still pretended to be. Her Lexus? I let enough air out of the front tire to trigger the dashboard warning light. She hates when warning lights pop up. Hates driving blind. The second she saw it, she launched into a tirade about how I never maintain anything around here. I calmly reminded her she has AAA. She stormed out and slammed the door so hard the frame shook. The following week, I adjusted the garage door sensor so that when she tried to back out, it didn't open. She slammed into it, dented the bottom panel, and nearly snapped the opener arm in half. Then she came inside screaming that I broke it on purpose. I just blinked at her. Didn't even touch it. She didn't know what to do with that. She started unraveling. Snapping at Mason and Tyler over tiny things. Losing track of time. Screwing up basic routines. She yelled at the boys for being too loud during her remote meetings, except they weren't. She blamed them for leaving dishes out, except I had already cleaned up. I wasn't trying to punish her. I was proving a point. I wanted the boys to see her for who she'd become. Not the mother they loved, but the version of her she was trying to hide. The one who made everything feel like their fault. Or mine. Never hers. And I knew Lisa. I knew how much she hated not being in control. So I kept going. I logged into our joint credit card account, the one we only used for household expenses, and started tracking every transaction. When I saw dinner charges for 2 people, hotel payments, out-of-town purchases when she said she was working late, I flagged them. Then I called the card company and asked for printed statements going back 6 months. I canceled the second card. She didn't notice for a few days. Not until she tried to use it again. "Oh," I said, playing dumb. "Yeah, I shut that one down. Fraud alert or something." She stared at me like she wasn't sure whether to scream or play along. That night, I installed a small voice recorder inside her favorite tote, tucked into the lining. At this point, I didn't even need more proof. I just wanted her own words. Wanted to hear her say the quiet things out loud. Wanted to hear how she justified it when I wasn't around. And the boys? I kept things normal for them. Or tried to. We had pizza nights. Movie marathons. I helped with their summer reading lists and reminded them to brush their teeth and comb their hair before bed. They could tell something was off. They asked why Mom was always angry. I told them she was just tired from work and to give her space. But that wouldn't last. Because the worst part of her unraveling was how she started turning on them. One morning, Tyler spilled some cereal on the counter. Nothing major, a few flakes, a splash of milk. He ran to grab a towel. Lisa saw it and lost her mind. She shouted like he'd burned the house down. Mason tried to defend him and got screamed at too. I walked in, calmly cleaned the mess, and took the boys for ice cream before lunch. When we got home, Lisa was in the bedroom with the door locked. And the best part? I hadn't even started the legal side of things yet. I waited 2 days before checking the recorder. It wasn't that I was scared of what I'd hear. I already knew. I just needed to be ready. Because once I heard her say it, once I had the words recorded and saved, there'd be no coming back. No pretending. No excuses. When I finally sat down, alone in my office with the door locked and the boys at a sleepover, I plugged the recorder into my laptop and hit play. The audio started slow. Muffled purse sounds, some rustling, a car door slamming, then footsteps, then a familiar voice. Lisa. She was laughing. With him. I didn't need to see his face. I could hear the way she spoke. Relaxed, playful, not like the clipped, tired voice she gave me at home. She sounded alive. "God, I needed this," she said. "If I had to sit through one more dinner with my husband and his pathetic, 'How was your day?' routine, I think I'd stab my eye out with a fork." They both laughed. He said something about her looking good. She replied, "Well, someone should notice. Nate doesn't. He's too busy playing Mr. Domestic." I didn't move. I didn't flinch. Then it got worse. They talked about me like I was a burden. A joke. Like the life I'd built for her, for us, was a prison she couldn't wait to break out of. Then I heard it. The line I'll never forget. "I'm not leaving him until after the baby. Once that's done, I'll have what I need. Full custody, maybe support, the house, then I'm gone." He asked, "What if he fights it?" And she laughed again. "He won't. He doesn't have it in him. He's too soft. Hell, he probably thinks the baby's his." Silence. Then, "Is it?" And she whispered, "Does it matter?" They both laughed again. I hit pause. My heart was calm. My hands? Steady. I expected rage. I expected to throw the laptop or punch a wall. But what I felt was something cleaner, something cold. Certainty. It wasn't just cheating anymore. It was betrayal down to the bone. She wasn't confused. She wasn't in a rough patch. She was calculating. Strategic. And she thought I was too weak to do anything about it. I copied the full audio, labeled it with a bland file name, and saved it twice. Then I loaded it onto a second drive and locked it in the fireproof box with our insurance documents. Because now, it was time to go legal. I called Alan, an old college friend turned family law attorney. Told him I needed to talk. Urgently. We met the next day in his office. I didn't dramatize it. I laid it out like a business plan. Cheating, proof, manipulation, plans to leave after using me for security. When I finished, Alan leaned back in his chair, eyebrows raised. "You're way ahead of the curve," he said. "Most guys find out too late. You're still in position to strike first. She has no idea what's coming." "None." He nodded. "Good. Keep it that way." We discussed options. Custody. Asset division. Prenup clauses. I told him I didn't want revenge. Just full custody of Mason and Tyler. And to make sure she didn't get a dime more than she deserved. He asked if I had anything else. I slid him the USB drive with the footage and audio. When he heard the line about the baby, he whistled through his teeth. Paternity test? Soon, I said. But not yet. Smart. We left it at that. Papers would be drawn up. A process server would be scheduled. My job for now was to play it cool. Pretend like everything was fine. That night, I sat across from Lisa at dinner. The boys were talking about a school project, showing us drawings they'd made. I smiled, helped pass the butter, nodded along as Lisa gave the bare minimum feedback. And the whole time, I knew she was done. She just didn't know I was done, too. It all went down on a Tuesday. Seemed fitting. Lisa had no idea what was coming. She was doing her usual routine. High heels, perfect hair, tight red dress, fake smile. The same tired act she'd been putting on for months. Girls' night again? I asked casual. She tossed her bag over her shoulder. Yep. Be home late. Don't wait up. I smiled. Have fun. She walked out the door like she hadn't gutted our marriage one lie at a time. At 8:47 p.m., while her phone's location showed her parked at the same motel off I-72, a process server handed her divorce papers in the lobby. I made sure she got served while she was still playing house with the other guy. While she still thought she was winning. She came home after midnight, loud this time. Keys slammed on the counter. Purse hit the floor. I was sitting on the couch, lights low, pretending to scroll through my phone. You're divorcing me? She snapped, waving the papers like a threat. I didn't even look up. Looks that way. What the hell is this? Her voice cracked. Not from sadness, but disbelief. You blindsided me? I stood up slowly. You've been lying to me for months. Cheating. Sneaking around. Bringing another man into our home, Lisa. The same place our kids sleep. You don't get to be surprised. Her face shifted. Anger to panic to fake confusion. You don't know what you think you know. Brian Carter, I said, letting the name hang in the air. She froze. I know where you go every Tuesday night. I've got video, audio, charges on the joint card. You've been sloppy. She shook her head like a kid denying the obvious. You went through my stuff? You tracked me? You made me. I stepped closer. You think you're the only one who gets to make moves? You thought I'd just sit here and take it. She looked away, jaw tight. Then she played her last card. I'm pregnant, Nate. I paused. Let that hang for a second. Yeah, I said. I know. I stepped even closer, just enough for her to see I wasn't flinching. So tell me, I asked. You've been with me. You've been with him. What are the odds that baby's even mine? Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. Don't look so shocked, I said. You made this bed. It's yours, she said, voice small, weak, not convincing. Of course it's yours. No, I said. See, that's not how trust works. You don't get to cheat for half a year and expect me to take your word on something this big. She blinked fast. You're being cruel. No, I said. Cruel would be pretending like I believe you. Cruel would be raising another man's child and letting you get away with it. Tears welled in her eyes. But I didn't buy it. Not after hearing her laugh about me behind my back. Not after watching her dance with him in our living room like I was already dead and buried. You'd better hope that baby's mine, Lisa, I said flatly. Because if it's not, you're walking away with nothing. She sank onto a chair like the wind had been knocked out of her. I kept going. I'm filing for full custody of the boys. You'll get visitation if a judge allows it. You've been distant, cold, and borderline hostile to them for months. You scream over spilled milk, ignore them when they need you, and they're scared to talk around you. That's not true. They told me. I documented it. You've been unraveling and blaming everyone but yourself. Silence. Get out of this house by Friday. We'll coordinate your move out through the lawyers. Nate, please. No. I turned and walked upstairs without giving her another second. I passed Mason's room on the way. He was curled up, half asleep, holding the stuffed bear Lisa once bought him back when she still cared. I closed his door quietly, then went into mine. And for the first time in a long time, I felt peace. The house was quiet. Not fake quiet. The kind where everyone's just ignoring each other, but real, peaceful silence. No tension in the air. No walking on eggshells. Just calm. Lisa moved out that Friday. She didn't even look me in the eye as she packed. Her lawyer had already started pushing back on the divorce terms, but by then, it didn't matter. I had everything I needed. Proof of the affair, evidence of neglect, voice recordings, screenshots, a trail of financial lies, and 2 kids who no longer asked when their mom was coming home. Mason and Tyler stayed with me, not because I begged or bribed or played some emotional game, but because, for months, I'd been the one actually showing up. The one who made lunch, who helped with homework, who gave a damn. Lisa tried to paint herself as the victim, claimed I'd been controlling, paranoid, cruel. Her lawyer called it psychological manipulation. Mine calmly handed over the folder with everything I'd documented. After hearing just 10 minutes of the voice recording, where she joked about using the baby to get the house, the judge looked physically uncomfortable. By the end of the hearing, I had full physical custody. She got bi-weekly visitation, supervised at first. Brian, he didn't even show up. Turns out, workplace affairs don't go over well when they involve billing motel rooms to company credit cards. Both of them lost their jobs. Quietly, without scandal, but gone. I heard through mutual contacts that Brian's marriage didn't survive either. Shocking. Lisa took a paralegal job at a much smaller firm. Less pay, longer hours, no flexibility. She tried reaching out a few times. Texts like, "We need to talk," or, "I miss the boys." I didn't block her, but I didn't respond. Everything goes through the lawyer now. Clean. Distant. She showed up for one of Tyler's soccer games in the fall. Stood by herself at the far end of the field. Didn't come say hi. Didn't approach the boys. Just watched. Then left before the final whistle. Tyler asked if she was coming to the next one. I said, "Maybe." He nodded, tied his cleats tighter, and went back to the game. As for me, I kept the house, fixed up the garage, turned the old guest room into a little home office with real walls and decent lighting. No more pretending the dining room table was a workspace. Business picked up. I started sleeping again, eating better, laughing more. Karen and I kept in touch after that summer trip. Nothing serious, not at first. Just the occasional text. Funny meme. A picture of the kids at the beach. Then a lunch. Then a few more. Then one weekend, she and her girls came over for a backyard barbecue. Lily and Zoe fit right in. Mason and Tyler were instantly obsessed. Not in the weird crush way, but like they'd known them forever. They played until it got dark, chasing fireflies and drawing chalk roads across the patio. Karen sat next to me, barefoot, holding a soda. We didn't say much. Didn't need to. It was just easy. No games. No guessing. No walking on glass. The boys eventually started asking when they'd see Karen and the girls again. We made it a weekly thing. No labels. No pressure. Just 2 adults figuring out life after being burned. Trying not to let the past make them bitter. Months passed. I told Karen everything eventually, about Lisa, the affair, the fake pregnancy story, the custody battle. She didn't flinch. Didn't judge. Just said, "You did what you had to do." The thing is, I never wanted revenge. Not really. I just wanted peace. Safety for my kids. Honesty. Stability. And I got it, not through anger, but through patience. Through being smart. Quiet. Focused. Lisa, she still lives in the city, renting a small apartment near her new job. The baby's due soon. She never told me whether it was mine or not. And honestly, I stopped caring. Whatever happens with that child, she'll handle it. On her own. Like she chose to. My sons? They're thriving. And me? I'm finally living the life I thought I was building before. Just with the right people this time. No secrets. No lies. Just real love. And peace.